My beloved child, there are moments you assume are simply part of the ordinary passing of time. But in truth, each one is an intersection between the finite and the eternal. What you call tomorrow is not merely another day continuing the same pattern. It is a doorway that has long been prepared within my design. You are not meant to enter it with fear or hesitation, but to awaken and understand that I am inviting you into a dimension of life you have not yet fully known. As it is written, "This is the day the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it." Every moment I ordain carries a sacred weight that reaches far beyond your present understanding. And my child, while you carry quiet burdens, unspoken worries that press upon your heart day after day, I have not turned away. What you perceive as a weight is actually the very place where I hear you most clearly. When you sigh in silence, when words completely fail you, I still understand. Before they call, I will answer. While they are still speaking, I will hear. Isaiah 65:24. The night you are about to enter is not a place where your anxieties continue unchecked. It is a place where I transform them at the root, where my light reaches even the deepest, most hidden shadows within you. You may believe certain dreams have faded, that prayers have been forgotten, that what once burned inside you now flickers only as a distant memory. But you must hear this. I forget nothing you have placed into my hands by faith. No matter how small the offering, God is not unjust. He will not forget your work and the love you have shown him. What appears silent has not died. It is being quietly nurtured in a process your eyes cannot yet perceive. And when the appointed time arrives, it will rise again, not as it once was, but with new life, deeper, fuller, more complete. Consider Joseph, thrown into a pit and sold as though he were worthless. In those years of waiting, every dream seemed buried beyond recovery. Yet, within that darkness, I was preparing him for a position he could never have reached through his own effort. You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good. Genesis 50:20. So it is with you. The seasons that appear like loss or delay are not abandonment. They are preparation. I am weaving goodness out of the very things you do not understand. Therefore, as you step into what is coming, do not carry doubt as your companion. Do not believe you must face everything alone. I do not place you anywhere that I am not already present. On the contrary, I am the one who makes a way through the deepest darkness within you. The people walking in darkness have seen a great light. Isaiah 9:2. That light does not come from outside. It is ignited within you the moment you allow me to move. There are days when you feel you are waiting without purpose, as if your efforts lead nowhere clear. But my child, waiting in me is never wasted time. It is a season in which your heart is being widened and softened, made ready to receive what I desire to give. If I were to give you what you ask before you were prepared to carry it, it would become a burden rather than a blessing. But when I prepare you first, what you receive becomes a source of life flowing outward. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. You are not called to simply pass through your days repeating the same cycle. You are called to step into appointed moments, places where your faith meets my voice. And when those two converge, something new is born. Not merely an outward change, but a renewal from the deepest place within your soul. I do not seek only to improve your circumstances. I desire to recreate you entirely. So, beloved, open your heart. Do not close yourself off because of past disappointment. Do not confine yourself within the boundaries of what you have already experienced. I am the God of restoration and new beginnings. Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? What I am doing is not constrained by your history. Even when the path ahead appears unclear, I am guiding you step by step. You do not need to understand everything in order to keep moving forward. You only need to trust that I am there. My beloved child, there are things I speak that cannot be contained within the framework of time as you understand it. For with me, every moment carries the weight of eternity. When I speak of a night that is coming, I am not speaking of earthly darkness, but of a moment of encounter, where your soul grows quiet enough to meet me more clearly. It is the time when external noise fades and you are no longer pulled outward but turn inward to the place where I have been waiting for you. Be still and know that I am God. Psalm 46:10. These words are not merely an invitation, they are a doorway. And it is precisely in that stillness that I am working more actively than you can imagine. I do not always act in ways that are immediately visible, but that does not mean I am inactive. My thoughts are not your thoughts, neither are your ways my ways. Isaiah 55:8. When you cannot see, when you cannot feel, when you do not understand, that is not when I have left. That is when I am weaving things far beyond your capacity to perceive. Remember young Samuel lying in the temple as a boy, hearing a voice he did not yet recognize as mine. 3 times he ran to his teacher, assuming the voice was human, until at last he was taught to respond, "Speak, Lord, for your servant is listening." 1 Samuel 3:10. So it has been with you. There have been times I called to you in the quiet, and you did not recognize my voice because you were expecting something louder, something unmistakable. But I often come not in the wind or the earthquake, but in a gentle whisper. 1 Kings 19:12. You may feel your life is too ordinary, too quiet, nothing remarkable enough to draw my attention. But you are seeing through human eyes, not through my light. Nothing in your life is without meaning. No detail is too small. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside your Father's care. Matthew 10:29. If I attend to even the smallest creatures, how much more do I attend to you, whom I have formed with intention and love? What I am preparing does not come because you are finally ready. It comes because the time has reached its fullness. When I called Esther into the palace, she did not choose that position for herself, nor did she determine the timing. Yet when the moment came, she recognized that she had been placed there for such a time as this. Esther 4:14. So it is with you. What you are about to encounter is not random. It is part of a greater unfolding I have already ordained. Do not step back because you feel unqualified. What I require is not confidence in yourself, but trust placed in me. For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. Jeremiah 29:11. That promise was not only for a people long ago, it is for you here and now. So when that moment comes, do not rush, do not become anxious, do not strive to control what you cannot fully comprehend. Stand still within your heart, remain open in your spirit, and allow me to lead. What I am doing is not merely changing your circumstances. I am expanding who you are so that you may receive what is greater, deeper, and more real than anything you have yet known. My beloved child, there are seasons in your life that stretch on endlessly. Seasons where everything grows so quiet that you begin to believe nothing is happening. Yet it is precisely in that stillness that I am carving the deepest things into your soul. Not with haste, but with patience and unwavering love. You often look for grand signs and powerful movements to confirm that I am at work. But I choose to come gently, like the first light of dawn slipping through a narrow opening, like a soft breeze only those who are truly attentive can perceive. He will not shout or cry out or raise his voice in the streets. Isaiah 42:2. My presence does not require noise to be real. There are moments when you no longer expect anything, no longer seek, because you have grown weary from prolonged waiting. Yet it is precisely when you release your own expectations that I step in most clearly. You may think I arrive late, but I have never been late. With the Lord, a day is like 1,000 years, and 1,000 years are like a day. 2 Peter 3:8. My timing is not governed by your perception. It is established upon eternal wisdom. You see delay, I see preparation reaching completion. And my child, do not allow the thought that you are not good enough, not worthy enough, to cause you to draw back. I do not seek perfection. I seek hearts willing to open. Remember the tax collector who stood at a distance in the temple, not even daring to lift his eyes to heaven, but beating his chest and saying, God, have mercy on me, a sinner. Luke 18:13. It was he who was justified, not because he was perfect, but because he recognized his need. So it is with you. The door I open is not a reward for perfection. It is an expression of my mercy toward you. My beloved child, there are hidden corners within your heart that even you hesitate to face. Places you call darkness. Yet they are the very places I long to enter first. I do not come to you only when you are strong or whole. I come when you are most honest, when you no longer try to conceal what weighs upon you. There is a weariness you have not yet named, not the exhaustion of the body, but the quiet erosion of the soul after walking a long road without seeing the results you hoped for. You have carried it silently, believing you must remain strong, must not appear weak. But my child, I do not require a life held together by strain. I desire a heart that dares to open. Come to me, all who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Matthew 11:28. This is not distant comfort. It is a direct invitation to you, here, now. There is also another voice that often whispers within you, one that tells you that you are not enough, not worthy, without a place. You look at others and compare yourself, then withdraw, believing you are merely a faint shadow in a world too vast. But my child, your worth is not measured by human perception. It is measured by me, the one who formed you from the beginning. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. Psalm 139:14. You are not a repetition of anyone else. You are a living intention of mine, the very breath I placed within human form. And then there is something you have buried more deeply than anything else, a longing that once burned brightly but now remains only as a memory. You once believed, once prayed, once waited. But as time passed without visible change, you placed it in a quiet corner of your heart as if it were no longer possible. But beloved, I do not only hear the words you speak aloud, I also listen to what you have buried. What you think has died has never disappeared in my sight. It is only sleeping, waiting for the moment I awaken it. As when I stood before the tomb of Lazarus and called out, "Lazarus, come out." John 11:43. Life responded to my voice beyond all human limitation. What I do is not constrained by time or circumstance. And if you allow me, I will touch what you have let go, not to restore it as it was, but to transform it into something greater, something more aligned with the purpose I originally planted within you. My beloved child, I know there are prayers you have offered in weariness, asking simply that your burdens would be lifted, that your complications would be resolved quickly so you could finally breathe again. but what I am doing reaches far beyond untangling what is immediately in front of you. I do not merely touch your circumstances, I touch who you are. When I enter the places that have wounded you, I do not stop at making the pain disappear. I use those very wounds to reshape your soul, to transform the way you see, the way you live, the way you understand yourself. We know that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. Romans 8:28. Not because all things are good in themselves, but because I make them meaningful within my hands. There are things you have walked through that led you to believe you are defined by failure, by fear, by lacks that seem impossible to fill. But when I touch those places, those definitions begin to crack. You are no longer a person confined by your past. You are a soul marked by healing. I do not patch you as something broken. I recreate you from within, like a potter reshaping clay according to his vision. Can I not do with you as this potter does? Jeremiah 18:6. You are always within my capacity for renewal. Look at Job, who walked through losses so deep they are difficult for any human to endure. He lost what was most precious to him. Yet he did not lose a heart turned toward me, even in what seemed like utter ruin. I did not only restore what had been lost, I transformed him at the very core. The Lord restored Job's fortunes and gave him twice as much as he had before. Job 42:10. And greater than the restoration was that he encountered me more deeply than he ever had before. So it is with you. What you are carrying is not the end. It is the beginning of a loving intervention I have already set in motion. My beloved child, I know there are prayers you whispered so long ago that even you no longer remember the last time you brought them before me. Time may have covered those memories in dust, but with me, nothing fades. I do not measure by the passing of years. I measure by my unchanging faithfulness throughout your waiting. What you think has been forgotten is in truth being carefully preserved. Like a gardener tending seeds in dry soil, you do not see the sprouting, but that does not mean life is absent. I am nurturing the roots, the deepest and most hidden part, where the true strength of everything that will grow is determined. There are dreams I do not allow to bloom too soon, not because I am indifferent to your longing, but because I love you too much to give them before you are ready to carry them. Remember Sarah, who laughed when she heard the promise of a child while her body had grown old. That laughter was not joy. It was disbelief in the face of what seemed impossible. But I am not limited by what you call impossible. Is anything too hard for the Lord? Genesis 18:14. And in the very place where life seemed no longer possible, I brought forth new life. The cry of a child arose where there had only been long silence. So it is with you. There are things you have named as dead, beyond hope. But to me, they are only waiting to be called forth at the appointed time. Perhaps you once prayed for very simple things: a place to belong, someone who would truly understand you, a door that would open so you could step into the purpose meant for your life. You spoke to me with all your heart, and then gradually fell silent when you did not see the answers you expected. You began to think I was not listening. But beloved, no prayer ever dissolves into emptiness. His ears are attentive to their cry. Psalm 34:15. Every word you offer is a seed placed into my hands, and I have tended each one with a patience you have not yet fully understood. My beloved child, do not be afraid to return to the doors you once closed out of weariness or disappointment. I do not lead you back there to awaken old pain, but to breathe new life into spaces long forgotten. The rooms you believe have gathered dust are still in my eyes, holding seeds of goodness that have yet to emerge. And understand this clearly: your worth is not found in what you achieve. It does not increase when you succeed, nor diminish when you stumble. Your worth is anchored in my unchanging gaze upon you. The Lord looks at the heart, and within that gaze, I see you not through your accomplishments or failures, but through the essence I created within you. I know there are days when you feel as though you have no value left. Repeated mistakes, quiet failures, the words and judgments of others, all blend into a persistent whisper telling you that you are not enough. But beloved, that is only the echo of the world and the fear within your own heart. It is not the truth. The true voice is mine, and I have never called you by your failures. I have called you by name. You are mine. Remember the prodigal son. When he returned, burdened with shame and certain he was no longer worthy to be called a son, hoping only to be received as a servant, the father ran to him, embraced him, asked no questions about the past, demanded no proof. This son of mine was dead and is alive again. His identity was not erased by his mistakes, and the father's love was not diminished by the distance. So it is with you. No matter what you have walked through, I still see you with the same gaze as before, a gaze of unchanging love. My beloved child, how many layers of false definition have you carried without realizing it? You look at your results, your position, the praise and criticism of others, and quietly form conclusions about your worth from all of it. I know how hard you have tried to be recognized, to be accepted, to feel that you are enough. And when you fall short, you turn against yourself. But the truth does not lie there. You do not need to strive to be loved, because love reached you before you ever began striving. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. Jeremiah 1:5. No gaze understands you more deeply than mine. No standard can define you more truthfully than what I have spoken over you from the beginning. Do you remember Peter? He boldly declared his loyalty, yet denied me 3 times in his weakest moment. He thought he had lost everything, that he was no longer worthy to stand beside me. But when I met him again after the resurrection, I did not bring up his failure. I did not question his past. I simply asked, "Do you love me?" John 21:17. What I seek is not a perfect past, but a heart willing to return. So it is with you. I do not see you through your stumbles. I see you through your capacity to be restored in my love. My beloved child, there are seasons that seem to repeat, seasons where everything grows quiet and you begin to think nothing is happening. These are not empty seasons. They are seasons where I am building the deepest things. As you learn to remain steady in what is not yet clear, your heart will grow gentler. You will no longer rush to judge. You will no longer demand that everything be defined immediately. You will love more deeply, because those very spaces of uncertainty have taught you what it means to trust. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. Matthew 5:5. The softness within you is not weakness. It is the strength of a soul that has learned to rely on something greater than itself. And as you continue to walk in that simplicity, quiet, steady, resilient, I will open to you a new gift, discernment. Not so that you may control everything, but so that you may live wisely. You will know when to move forward, when to pause, when to simply remain under the shelter of my wings. You will no longer be pulled by noise, but led by the peace that rises from within. My beloved child, the growth I am shaping within you is not measured by what you achieve, but by who you are becoming. When your words grow gentler, when you are slower to anger in moments of friction, when you choose to listen rather than react, when you forgive even while the pain still lingers, these are the true marks of spiritual maturity. Clothe yourselves with compassion, kindness, humility, gentleness, and patience. These qualities are not born in ease. They are forged in the places where your heart has once cracked. And child, I do not waste those fractures. I use them so that light can enter, and from there shine outward. Do not be surprised when you still face difficulty even after choosing obedience. Do not conclude too quickly that you are lacking. It is within what you perceive as lack that I am forming fullness. My grace is sufficient for you. I am teaching you a truth that few learn quickly. A mature life does not require perfection. It requires abiding in me. And from that place, you will carry a peace the world cannot explain, a joy not dependent on emotion, a strength not drawn from yourself. My beloved child, some of the greatest impacts in your life will not come from what you accomplish, but from the simple fact that you remained standing when it felt impossible to continue. I have seen you refuse to give up in days when everything seemed to be breaking. You may not see the results, but I see the hidden movements taking place beneath the surface. A seed must be buried before it can sprout. Faith must pass through darkness before it becomes steadfast. What you are enduring is not punishment, it is preparation. I am forming within you a resilience that nothing can shake. And child, each morning I give you is not merely a new cycle of time. It is a living reminder that I have never ceased working in your life. His mercies are new every morning. What you need today is not found in yesterday's strength. I provide exactly what you need, exactly when you need it. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? You are not called to deny reality, but you are called to see it through my perspective. What you see may trouble you, but what I have spoken will never fail. I do not promise that you will never face hardship. I give you something better, an unchanging promise that you are never alone. My beloved child, keep walking. You do not need to be fast. You do not need to be perfect. You only need not to give up. I am at work in what you cannot yet see, building within you a foundation that no storm can sweep away. And one day when you look back, you will realize that the days you thought were your weakest were the very days I was doing my strongest work within you. So rise with a renewed trust, not because everything has become clear, but because I am still here. And as long as I am here, you still have hope. As long as I lead, you still have a path. And as long as you belong to me, nothing you go through is ever without purpose. You are seen, you are known, you are held, and you are loved. From the very beginning and forever. Amen.